Number one, who is Edward Bernays?
Edward Bernays.
I heard you mention him.
Yeah. So Edward Bernays, he's known as the father of propaganda. So I've talked about this. I talked about it at Tate's Place. I've talked about it at a couple other locations. I'm very passionate about understanding the root source of the cause, right? So you look at at a lot of the habits that Americans form, you're gonna start asking yourself, who instilled these thoughts? Who instilled kind of this philosophy and these habits? A famous one is the all-American breakfast. You get your eggs, you get your bacon, you get your sausages, you get your orange juice, you get your milk. But 100 years ago, that wasn't breakfast.
That wasn't the American breakfast.
A breakfast wasn't a thing, right? So people nowadays, and I saw it on TikTok, like, well, what do you want me, Luke, to starve? No, I want you to be conscientious about who you're believing with regards to the information that you have. So Edward Bernays, known as the father of propaganda, also related to the owner of Netflix, which is very interesting, right? Because Netflix is a big propaganda machine. So you see a lot of these things kind of interconnecting with themselves, which is one of the reasons why I don't watch movies, which is why you asked me, is I don't like people programming my mind. I like to program my mind by myself.
It's literally called a TV program.
Correct. Like literally you watch the news and it says, it's time for your regular programming. Like they literally tell it to you. It's like, are you ready to get programmed? All right, sit down. Turn on the TV at 9 o'clock with your GMO processed bullshit food that you just pulled out of the fridge and then you put it in the microwave. You're good to go. Sit down. Eat that genetically modified corn off of that plastic container. You're chilling. Sit down for your regular programming. That's the name of the game nowadays. Edward Bernays launched the breakfast campaign because the meat industry came to him and said, dude, we're slacking on meat sales. What can we do? So he's like, it's too hard to convince the average person. It's too hard to convince the individual. I need to go to the people that are already sources of authority. So what did he go and do? He went and convinced who? The doctors, the pediatricians, that breakfast was the most essential diet with all these studies and all these case studies and all these scientific papers that were written and all these experiments and all this bullshit. It was all paid propaganda. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Anyways, so Edward Bernays launches the breakfast propaganda campaign and turns breakfast into a rousing success. He did it as well with cigarettes.
Unessential.
He did it as well with cigarettes. He was pushing cigarettes as a healthy alternative to reduce stress, to make sure pregnant women had a good pregnancy.
It was like that. You go to the pharmacy, you tell them you're stressed, they prescribe you cigarettes.
Dude, Edward Bernays. So the guy understood human psyche, understood crowd psychology, and understood that the crowd mind
herd mentality
is not a rational mind. Therefore, you do not appeal to logic. You appeal to emotions. You appeal to fear. And that's the name of the game. So you see the same agenda, the same mindset, and the same strategy played time and time and time again. And if you understand this, you can position yourself in such a way whereby when this happens again, like it did from 2020 to 2022, without going into details, it's going to happen again. People will be mass brainwashed.
Pandemic.
People will be mass together to form fear. The mass mentality and the mass mobs will form together, and the cycle will start again.
Damn.
And your ability to capitalize on that by foreseeing where it's going to happen, and I can tell you where it's going to happen.
And being ready. Where?
I can literally tell you the niches where it's going to happen. Ready? Perfect. Climate change, another pandemic, and food supply chain. Those three things are going to be the three biggest money-making opportunities, whereby they're going to instill fear, they're going to instill crowd mob mentality where there's no logic involved, it's purely emotional, and they're going to be in a situation where they're going to get really rich, whether it's through carbon credits, whether it's through making and managing genetically modified foods, controlling the supply chain, and ultimately they'll be in a situation or in a scenario where they'll make the plan work. So prepare yourself, position yourself, and you can get rich. I was able to uncover it this last time, and I think it's going to happen again soon. So Mark my words. I'm not popular when I say these things, but I'm usually right.
And you soon will be when these statements come to fruition.
They will, 100%.
Okay, last and final question, and then we wrap it up. It's been a great episode. Last and final question. What do you think now this new technology, well, it's not new, but this new open chat has come out. ChatGPT, you heard of it, of course, I'm sure. Have you seen it? How can people use this in their businesses? People are using it for copy. People are using it to send emails. AI is here. ChatGPT, to a certain extent.
The brokies have been exposed to the AI. They're using it for bullshit. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
I was talking to one of our Capital Club members who just sold his software company. He's a Swiss guy, and he works with AI. He works with machine learning and things of this nature. And he said, if you think this AI that was released to the public is actually what they have out there, you're sadly mistaken. They've given you crumbs, samples of what they've had for over a decade. What they actually have in the back end is AI that teaches itself, right? So they don't know what the AI is teaching itself at this point. It's
creative thinking.
It's programmed to teach itself. So you don't know what it's learning in real time. Wow. It's unbelievable. So I think AI has a lot of value in society. I think AI is going to be kind of like a really good sidekick for a lot of people, but you need to be able to think outside of the box. If you think that the extent of your AI is to make your emails and you're right, that should be you testing to see if it works. You need to be using AI to think for you. Nikola Tesla talks about this idea of memorizing and retaining thoughts in your mind as a clutter waste of energy. Why? Because in order for you to retain a thought, or in order for you to develop a concept, or in order for you to solve a problem, what? You have to expend energy.
Yeah.
But what if you could conserve that energy by creating, like in this case, AI that could do those things on your behalf? Instead of being a lazy piece of shit, you should be utilizing your mental real estate to understand how to control and how to wield the AI to do what you need it to do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that's where you're going to differentiate the big players from the small players, is how that is implemented. You could literally right now be like, okay, AI, write me a tweet. It'll spit out a tweet for you. But the intelligent person is out here really asking the AI questions that are deep questions to start developing the train of thought to find deep solutions. So if people are just using it as some sort of Siri tool, it just shows the level of intelligence that they have as an individual. And I think the most capable individuals understand that AI is just another employee. Yeah. That you could utilize this as a super employee to run your organization in a very streamlined and effective manner. So if you're not using AI yet, start thinking about it, start incorporating it, but not into micro bullshit levels. Think bigger, and it'll be a successful and useful tool.